welcome once again to another this one's going to be exciting, I can tell, exciting episode of Tea Talks. I'm your host, Jes'ka Washington, and once again, Tea Talks is sponsored by Be in Dubai. This time, we're going to kind of go with a different realm in our conversation. Being an educator out here, we have noticed it's opened a pathway to so many different things. So today we're going to talk about two educators who are with me, brilliant, but how they utilize this time to really see the world and get to see, I think, more of yourselves if you really become this world traveler. So just right now, just very gracious for our panelists. First we have
Anika, hi.
And Anika, where are you from?
I'm from Florida.
Okay, are you going to represent Florida one time? Or no, we're not. Okay, I'm Florida.
I'm from Florida.
And you're from?
I am from Mississippi. I'm from Mississippi. I was born and raised in Mississippi, but I came here from Atlanta.
Okay, and your name is?
J. Lee.
J. Lee. And so why I really brought both of you today is that one, just been paying attention. Anika, you're my friend. And every time, I'm going to be honest, I'm a little spoiled. Every time Anika goes somewhere, she brings me back a beautiful elephant from wherever she goes.
She loves elephants.
I love elephants. So one, I support your travels, and I support my getting in those travels. But then also I had a wonderful opportunity just to meet and talk with you. And I think you said something like, well, just catch my Instagram page. And when I started scrolling.
Really, did I tell you that?
It was like either Instagram or it was like Facebook. I just know I started scrolling. And I was like.
He hit you with the follow me on IG?
Yes, it was the follow me.
That's what that was? Oh,
that's
wow.
what you did.
But you've been able to do so much. So just real quick before we do anything, let's just talk about even in the past year. Where have you been able to go?
Let's see. Most recently, I did Bali. Before that, I did China, Hong Kong, Singapore. I did India. I think that's it for since being out here.
And you've been out here how long?
Since August.
So you only been to 4-5 countries since August.
It's been nice.
That's pretty good.
Yes, it's actually excellent.
That's
Yes.
really good. Yeah. And you actually been to a lot of places that are on my list for the future.
And so where have you been recently?
Recently, I just came back from Greece. I did a week in Greece. I did Santorini, Athens, and Mykonos.
Nice.
But last year, the calendar year, I was able to do 12 countries.
Wow.
And let's see here. I did Kuwait and some other country this year. No, Kuwait. Yeah, Kuwait was my only country that I did outside of Greece this year.
Okay, but you've been able to see so much. So the first that we're going to talk about is that you're both out here as educators.
Yes.
And we are working with an educated background and all that stuff, and you're managing to utilize your craft here to be able to follow through on this new passion that you have. Or is it a new passion?
It's definitely a new passion for me. I traveled domestically when I was living in the States, but I was never had the opportunity to travel internationally. So,
okay.
Yes, definitely a passion now.
I would say for me, the travel bug hit me before moving out here. I went to Mexico City, and I was sure not to go to Cancun. Not that there's anything wrong with Cancun, but I wanted to see Mexico. And then it was so awesome, and I thought to myself, wow, I could live in Mexico City. And I remember meeting this wonderful person who was talking to me. Was like, have you ever considered teaching at an international school out here? The teachers do pretty well. And kind of, that kind of went in one ear and went out the other. But I did love where we stayed. We had a wonderful Airbnb in Roma Norte, and I was like, oh, this neighborhood is so cute. Reminds me of New York. I lived in New York, and so I kind of always been all over the place, like get up and go. I guess I've always had that. So visiting Mexico City was like, oh, I love this. And then I went to Italy for a week, and Italy blew my mind. Didn't go to Rome, went to Genoa, again, more of a personal, do it like the locals do it type of experience, same kind of thing I wanted in Mexico. So while we did touristy things, also kind of wanted to do off the beaten path, I could live here type things. So that kind of blew my mind open, like, wow, I really want to travel. Went to Switzerland also, and so that was cool. So I kind of had the travel bug before getting out here.
Okay.
And that's maybe what prompted me to move over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, there's two questions that came from here, but what changed from traveling domestically in the U.S. to being able to have that? And now you live, we all have residence visas, so our home is Dubai. So did anything really change?
When you say change, what exactly?
Well, I'm going to go off of kind of, you said you had a travel bug and the interest. And one thing I do know is being out here, Dubai is a hub for so many different other things. So in order to go just to Egypt, I hear people all the time saying, oh, Egypt is a weekend trip.
It is.
Where it's not a weekend trip.
Well, it's a weekend trip if you live here, but of course, if you're coming from the States. The way I compare it to when I talk to my friends about traveling, traveling internationally from Dubai is equivalent to traveling domestically in the States, because you have so many places, that are so close and they're so cheap. And so for me, it was, I guess, when I started looking into it and, getting the bug really kind of bit me when I saw how cheap the flights were. And I was just like, okay, I'm going to, try to take advantage of this opportunity as much as I can and visit as many places as I can while I'm here, because this is not, end all be all for me. Dubai is not, this, I'm here for a certain amount of time. So I want to kind of see as much of the world as I possibly can. And especially with being in so close to so many places that I've always wanted to be to.
Okay. So then also, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I feel that when you travel, you go for cultural experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. No, you're not wrong. Well, like I said earlier, even when we went to Mexico, Switzerland, wherever, yes, I want to see all the touristy things, take all the Instagram shots, but also kind of have those cultural experiences. So when I went to Bali, it was important to me to do the water cleansing ritual. Loved that, and that probably was the highlight of my trip. Again, a super cultural, for me, borderline religious, although I'm not a religious person, kind of experience that was important for me to have. And my tour guide was so instrumental in making sure we did it right. It wasn't just about the pictures, it was more so about going through the process the correct way, being respectful to their culture, being respectful to this temple.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it was pretty awesome. So I kind of try to have an experience like that everywhere that I go. The cultural piece is super important to me.
So then I was going to ask you, your motivator is the fact that you have the opportunity, or is there certain experiences that you really look at as well?
There are certain experiences that that I really enjoy. I went to Kenya and got a chance to visit some of the locals' homes, the tribe in Kenya, in Nairobi. That was a very eye-opening situation, or just experience, just to see, that they know that they have access to, things of the 21st century, but they choose to live and take advantage of their surroundings, of their environment. They used to live. They choose to live off their environment, and they're very protective of their culture. So I thought that was very, that was an awesome experience to kind of see how they live. I definitely like to take the Instagram photos. Of course, you want to capture the moment, but you definitely want to experience the culture as well, because you see a lot of things are put out there to kind of, I guess, you dispel a lot of the things that you see in the media, because Africa is, every part of Africa is not. Everybody is not homeless, or it's not
the children.
Yes, it's not.
What's the fly that was skating around the little boy's head?
Exactly, right. It's not like that. And even here in Dubai, we dispel a lot of rumors just by living here. You see things are not the way that they're depicted in the media. So travel opens your eyes to that, and with us being African Americans, it also opens the eyes to the people that we're, the countries that we're visiting, because they're not used to seeing African Americans. I visited India. I went to the Taj Mahal, and there were people just recording us because we're black, and they thought we were celebrities. And that's just I'm just a little joke, just here to see the Taj. So it's very interesting. Very interesting.
So talking about the culture and just the fact that you're able to dispel certain myths that we were fed, I was going to say, then how have you grown? Now that you have this, now that you've seen different things, in what mindsets that you have, or what have you experienced that have made you a better person, or just see different things, or any myths that were disbelieved?
I would say the biggest one is like when I go to different places and see how people are working and living their work mindset, because very different work-life balance is not a problem in these other countries. This is not how people choose to live their lives, where they are so concentrated on work. Although it would appear that work is super important because they need to make a living, especially in the tourist industry. But no, there's no issues for work-life balance. Like being around family, enjoying your life, enjoying the time that you are away from work is very important to them. I mean, just meeting, and even when you're traveling to a different place, you're still meeting people from other places. And so you have these conversations about, it's just so different than the way that I was raised, or the way that I was working as an adult, living in New York, living in DC, work. You know, that is not how everyone else is living their lives in other places. And so I think that is one of the biggest ways that I've grown, just realizing there's more to my life than just what I'm doing at work. Like that is not encompassing of all.
That's not who you are.
Like it's just what I do to enable me to do what I really want to do, which is travel. So that's kind of been my biggest thing.
It's very interesting to see that just the different way that people are living. Just that there is, I think when you're so just like caught up in work, caught up in just your everyday life, you don't really think about, you know, the rest of the world. The world is so huge, it's so big, and it's just so much to see and so much to do. And you definitely meet people as you're traveling along, and you meet people from other countries, and you meet people from that particular place that you're traveling to. It's an awesome experience. I am just really trying to take it all in and learn how to live in the moment.
Wow.
Because and this has happened on 2 or 3 trips that I've been to, and definitely happened when I was in Kenya. I was so just, you know, concerned about getting the perfect photo, or, you know, doing this and making sure that I get here, do this and do all of this and try this and go here, that you don't just really take in what you're experiencing. And so I did not take in what I was experiencing until I got back. And when I was looking at my videos of the safari, and we actually witnessed the lions, they trapped the water buffalo.
Oh.
And we watched it like it was like National Geographic right there in front of us. We watched them trap the buffalo. We watched them, you know, devour the buffalo. Then we came back the next day, and they were still eating on the buffalo. So I just, you know, I was just like, I don't want to watch this, but I'm still recording. And then when I got back home, after the trip is over, I'm looking at all my footage, and I'm just like, wow, I actually was just like right there. And so it's just like, you know, I'm learning to live in the moment. Live in the moment. That's very important when you're traveling. Just, you know, enjoy yourself.
Just take that moment.
Take the moment.
Not the selfie.
Not the selfie. Yeah. I'm learning to do that.
So first of all, let's just pause on the profoundness of just that piece, and then being able to see, I want to say, different life unfold in front of your eyes. Whenever you do turn around, you get to take these experiences. And one thing, being educated, is that we read it in books. And we read or we hear these names in different passing. And then you're now walking through these places.
Yes.
Is that a feeling? Or I would feel like awe.
I mean, to a degree. I think more of my aha moments come from talking to people who live in these places. Like, yes, it's really cool when you're like, wow, I'm here, I'm in Hong Kong, or I'm in Singapore, and I just read Crazy Rich Asians. This is where they went. That was really cool. I mean, I haven't been to any, I haven't been to like any super old places, so maybe that moment hasn't happened for me yet. So for example, I haven't been to Rome and been in the Colosseum, right? I haven't been to Petra yet. I haven't gone to Egypt yet to see those really old things, and maybe that moment will come. I'm not saying it won't. For me, with the destinations that I've been to thus far, it's more about talking to the people. Then I have those aha moments like, wow, I'm sitting here and I'm having beers with like some of the coolest people I've met in Bali, like, and then this gentleman from Australia, and we're sitting here and we're talking until 4 o'clock in the morning just about how he quit his job and moved to Bali for 6 months. and just how he learned the language and the people know him and love him and like, picking up phrases. Like I love to learn a few phrases wherever I go. And people are always so appreciative when you like try to speak their language. So my aha moments like, wow, I'm here, are when I meet cool people.
It always, I've said this to many of my friends, it's like, I should have paid more attention in my social studies classes. Because, now that I'm traveling, I'm learning, more about the countries and different places. And I've been to Egypt, I've been to India, I've been to Petra, I've did all of that. And so like when I get there, I'm just like, I remember talking about this in school, but I wasn't really paying attention. And so like, I'm having to learn all this. It's one thing to see it in a book and read about it. When you don't have no connection to it because you're not there, you haven't been there, probably don't even think that you will ever be there or go there, and then to actually go there and see it. So it's definitely some aha moments that I've had traveling, the experiences that I've had.
I find, and I think that's one thing that we can really dive in when we talk about travel. When people talk about travel, they're like, okay, I want to travel. Everyone has a different reason to travel. They're talking about the experiences with people, and you're talking about the experiences of places and things and seeing it. And then for me, I love the stories. I love the history. When people say how this came together and was built, or the old architecture. There are so many different things that you can discover about yourself and your own passions and what motivates you and what you take intrinsically and where you see it. And I can say this one, I'm sorry, I've been to your house and I've watched, and I don't think you know how your art decor has changed and become a lot more. And it's so warm, but you have so much culture in there. It's from one corner to another corner to another corner. It's just so much that you become. And we already talked about how you become these things and where you've grown. But let's push it over to where you're now an educator. Has it influenced the way that you go into a classroom? Has it influenced the way you work with students or you talk with students?
Oddly enough, I'm gonna say yes and no at the same time, if that makes sense. So yes, in that you are changing. So obviously if you're a different person, if you're growing, if you're having these aha moments, and you're enlightened in some way after these trips, sure. But overtly, no, because I think just coming over here, everything changed about the way that I was walking into classrooms, right? It's not like I feel this huge burden or this huge obligation to impart knowledge on my students who may never leave their neighborhood. That's the clientele I had in the States. That is not the case here at all. So I don't feel as obligated to kind of impart, well, when you go to these different places, I don't need to do that. My students are traveling just as much as I am, if not more.
A lot of the students here have 2 or 3 passport books already.
Yes, exactly.
Already.
And so that's different. Like if we were in DC right now, yes, it would. It overtly would change the way I step into a classroom. I might, bring some of the things that I purchased as decorative items for my home, or I would show my students pictures. Like when I went to Italy, I showed my kids, okay, this is what Italy looks like. Didn't feel the need to do that here, because they've been, you know what I mean, or they're planning to go. They're like, oh, Indonesia, I went, or I was in Malaysia, blah blah blah. So it doesn't really. I don't think it changes me as an educator overtly. I think the change really comes from you changing as a person, because when you bring what you bring to teaching is yourself first. So yes, sure, from the inside out, maybe, but not overtly. It's not something I'm consciously doing differently. If that makes sense.
Okay.
I think it, I agree with that 100% about the students traveling. I had
stamps.
One of my students is, oddly enough, in my class, we're talking about continents and countries right now. And I was, sharing with the class, some of the places that I've been to. And I had a student to ask me, do you travel first class or you travel business class? And I was just like, whoa. Let's stick to the subject at hand, because these are the type of students that we have in our class. In the States, it would not be that way at all, and I would definitely feel the need to want to expose my students in the States to some of my travels, and give them insight that there's more to there's more to the world than just what's in your neighborhood. But here, you don't really feel that need because the students are traveling. But they actually can tell you some places to go
Yeah.
and things to do.
Yeah.
But I will say it does help for a conversational piece, because that was one of the things that I miss about teaching in the States. I don't really have that relation with my students. I don't feel like I can relate to them. But with me traveling to some of the places that they're from, it also opens up a lane for conversation, because you know, I have students that are from Jordan, I have students that are from Egypt, so I can talk to them about, okay, I went to Jordan, I saw Petra, I did this, and they can say, oh, okay, yeah, da 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 da. So it opens up, you know, conversations with your students here, versus, you know, I went back to visit some of my old students from the States, and they were like, why are you not here? Why are you not teaching us? And I was like, well, I live in Dubai, I'm teaching in Dubai. Where's that?
Yeah.
So, you know, now they have to go to Google to figure out where Mr. Lee is teaching it. So that's just one of the things.
Where's Mr. Lee? Not where's Waldo. Where's Mr. Lee?
Yeah, where's
this week? Because I've already made fun of you about how much you travel.
It's slowed down, but it's gonna pick up. It's gonna pick up drastically this summer. I have a very aggressive travel schedule this summer.
So yes, that's awesome. Talking about that, and I was going to say out here as well, it's not just the students, it's the staff that we work with. And I do know they come and say, okay, I'm from Turkey. When are you going to Turkey? When are you going to Lebanon? When are you going? And yeah, like we have members, and they have already said, well, this is where the flights are cheaper. This is when you need to go.
They're very helpful. They're like, if you're going to Turkey, talk to me. If you're going to Lebanon, let me know.
I have a place that your family that you want to stay. So I would say there's an excitement about culture out here, and I don't want to get into deep conversations, but I do know that one of the things in the States that we sometimes get worried about is cultural appropriation. And even coming out here, I was like, well, do I do this? And they celebrate you saying, I'm interested in where you're from. There's a celebration of like a conversation, or let's go to dinner, let's talk. And I think there's something so beautiful about talking culture.
Yes, I agree. And I know you don't want to get too deep in it, but going back to your comment about cultural appropriation, I think that becomes problematic when the attention is taken off of the culture that's being appropriated, and more about the person being celebrated for making said fashion statement or rocking said hairstyle, and it's not about the culture anymore. It becomes about this individual doing something cool and novel that the people from that culture know it's not novel, it's not new, it's not novel. We've been doing this forever. The citation.
Correct. The saying that I got this from this.
Right, and so I think that's where these discussions about cultural appropriation, which are, I mean, I find that's only an issue in the United States. I have never heard anyone in any other country
I'm wearing a bias,
speak about cultural appropriation.
And I will say the one thing that goes to it is not only wearing a bias, but when you participate in theirs, they're like, okay, you actually learn. There's that celebration. But once again, we're coming from where I think we are used to cultural appropriation, and we don't appropriate. We know, no, this is such and such culture I got this from, and I will shout that out. So there's not a...
And there's this sensitivity in the United States that no one else has. And it's on all sides. We don't even have to get into who's sensitive about what. It's on all sides, so much so that when I did cover for our National Day, I did have to make a post, and I did have to put a part in there about this was appreciated and celebrated by my colleagues.
Yes.
They thought that this was great that I decided to cover. It was not offensive at all, whereas, like you said, in the United States, you worry about, is this offensive? Oh my God, people, why are you doing that?
And I
never came up here.
And I am a little, apprehensive about. I've talked to several male teachers who have, wore the candor to work and stuff like that. I have not spoken with my administration about doing it, and I haven't done it. But I do, there are certain things that I've done outside of work that I have worn it, and you definitely do. You're received differently when you do it, and they definitely appreciate it because it's like you're embracing their culture and. People love to, like you spoke earlier, when you say you go to different places and you speak that language, or you attempt to speak that language.
Yeah, even one word.
Yes, when you try to say, when you're trying to say something, it lets people know that you have done, you know, some research, or you're actually they feel like
You're making an effort.
Yes.
Right? You're
Yes.
making an effort.
Yes.
you're trying. So I think it's appreciated. But you know, in the states, everything is done differently. Everything is taken.
Yeah.
It's just
We were different in the
Yes.
States, right?
But I think it's in on that. Like, the truth of the matter is that coming out here is a growing experience.
definitely.
It's just a growing experience.
Yeah.
And it's
For
not
sure.
about what is or what's not. It's just a chance to grow. It's a chance to meet others. It's a chance to have conversations like this. And so with that, we are actually at the end of this episode. So I just want to say thank you so much for the insight. I'm supposed to ask you where you're going next and
You need
where
a
you're
part
going.
two.
I know we're gonna have to do a part 2, so I can say already. Do know that this is only season 1 of Tea Talks. We have so much more coming in, and until then, let's raise our tea. And thank you so much for coming
Thank
out.
you for having me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Keep traveling, keep traveling, keep traveling, keep watching.